So we're going to look at the, we don't have that many more days before Purim, so we want to see some of these details over here. So he named his Boretz Lenda Bedrosh Nuk de Zeranpin, which is Malchus. Uvavi Inyan Mia to Yereach goes together. These are different topics that the minimizing of the moon. Ki because the man shall galas omdim zav enok ach ba'ach kol yemei hachol. Lulele b'shos to tefilo b'shvasis k'viyotze b'zem. The motion is boyer sham. So we went over a little bit of this idea before, but let's look at number Daled and try to get down with it down below. He says, and I apologize for the fact that if you look at the video, that the table I'm on here is really bouncy. So it's like shaking all the time. I try to keep my pencil off of it, and that might help a little bit. Bizman shohoya besa mikdash kayim, omdazir anpin v'nuk tadir panim b'panim. That's in the time of the temple. It was a time of continuous flow of energy, of wonderful goodness. But now we're in exile. Omding zun tamid ach ba'ach b'mehachol. So we're back to back during the weekday. There is no real connection. Milvad b'shasa tefila b'shavasas v'omdim panim b'panim, with the exception of those times. Became Yotze Bezecha behind the Yomim Tovim. That's simpler to that. He says, I understand that Yomim Tovim. There were some questions about that we saw in the last shiur, but let's go on. He says, Hi nechab kasher rotzim lachzor panim b'panim. But now we want to make zun. Tzarek shetak decha bechinas hafalas ador mitach al zer anpin. Keshesh kadei she'ta'asach anisirot v'tuchul lachzor imo apim ba'apin. They should go back face to face. Kedizker. B'drashi Rosh Hashanah. Kasher habetzarek lahafrid as a zun amechubarim ach ba'ach, kadei sheyuchul lachzor la'amod pana b'pana v'lachzor v'lehisyached, and make oneness, which is really the Hashem is one. We are separated. We need to come together. Tzarek shetipol al zechav t'hardemus adar zah has to go into a deep sleep. V'yotzi mimenu hamochim v'nitnuch v'nuk hamochim sholo me'ima atzma. So now she starts getting a direct infusion from the higher parts of into her. V'az t'naser, when she gets strong enough, she's able to remove herself from the back of Zer Anpin Hanuk, Zer Anpin v'tivdach b'sfirosecho, and she becomes built with 10 complete spheros. V'tuchul lachzor la'amod pana b'pana v'disboy ba'aricha b'drashi Rosh Hashanah. There's a lot to be said about this, exactly how the different aspects of the 10 spheres of the Nukva become separated from the 10 spheres of Zer Anpin, and she is created to have a back of her own instead of a shared back with Zer Anpin. V'yoski inyan amordechai v'ester koya b'sofa shvim shana shel galas babel kanoida. So this is the end. This whole story is taking place at the end of the galas. Baha Rav Levar Seder HaMemidas HaOlomos Bizman Ma'isech Mordechai Esther. What exactly was going on? What is the position of the heavens? How is the cycle of a reality of our world working? This was his mistake. So he said that according to the mistake that he made, he felt that the 70 years was up. The way he counted, they have been switched out of the category of waiting for the 70th year, because the 70 year he thinks came. He gives the man the geula. But the Jewish people are still in captivity. And he concluded here that there wouldn't be any more redemption. So therefore he made this big Suda to integrate the Jews into the lifestyle that he wanted them to have. So there we see also already at this time, his kilo inyan tikun zer anpin v'nuk, but the beginning had already started for a tikkun of Zer Anpin and the Nukva, to be able to bring the light back down again, Kadesha Lachzor Apim Ba'apim, so that they could come face to face, the Yigala Yisrael, and as a result of that Yichud, to bring the light into us, and would bring us redemption. Hiyos begalus omdim za v'nuk ach ba'ach. So the situation is Zun cannot reproduce. They're facing back to back. Uvizman shebesa mikdash kayim omdim panim b'panim. We know that they were like that. But nitzrak lehiyos besofa galus kodim ha'geula. Seder hatikun and the asa the vobe bechinas midasim ach ba'ach. The tikun has to be as they're standing at that ad chazarasim panim b'panim until they can come back to be face to face. So he says, "Ve'inyan haschalazu." This is the Indian of the Dormita that star to be had in their daytime. That is the depth. Excuse me. That is the deep sleep of Zeranpin. Let me see where we're at, right. Amidas Zun Panim Bepanim is man based by Shani, who Indian and the Sirius, so that bringing them back requires this removal of the nook and her being built up. And that would all take place as a result of this. Let's read just a little bit more so we can get, and I like to get into the Shefa a little bit if we can. So the Yisrael, this is the source of that tremendous pain. There was a tremendous, I think he means fear, but I think it is. Rabbi says that chasheicha zu golus madai. That's the chasheicha, the word chasheicha, which means the darkness, refers to that we fell into the galus of Media, that country, or that empire. That the eyes of the Jewish people became, I guess you would say, completely depressed. Their eyes were darkened. And why were the Jewish people so lost? Because at that time, Zer Anpin was in the state of deep sleep. So they have two different words. One is tardema, and the other one is dormita. Both seem to be Latin types word. Tarde is a word in Spanish for afternoon, which could be the time of the siesta. Tarde also means late. There's different kinds of things like that. Dormir in Spanish, it means to sleep. So here you have a mixture of those two ideas. So that sleep is necessary in order to build up the look. That's this tremendous pain that the Jewish people had during that period of time. That there were gozer on us, that we would be completely wiped out. Something new that never happened before. There was such a tremendous pain. The rabbi said, as a pasuk on Amber Bebris Ben Absarim, this pasuk, he says, there was a tremendous amount of the fear of darkness. So now the Rav we're going to explain this. What is the gezerah that we had to go through this? B'makoro at its root, b'seder amamidas alamu shuhu machma shezer anpin choya oz b'so dormita shuhu matzav shel tardema. Zer anpin, which represents the sun, was dark. So therefore there was a tremendous amount of, what's miyut means of lessening, of constricting, of the shkacha that's coming directly from Hashem and shining on us, al b'nei Yisrael. Shehein mushgachim mitzad zer anpin, because we see that our supervision, the main connection that we have with the Most High, is through the concept of zer anpin, that parts of all the things that happen to Jewish people come through, and the world in general, come through Zer Anpin. You are children to Hashem Elokechem. Yisrael heim b'nei Zer Anpin, because Yisrael are the children of Zer Anpin. This is a time of really tremendous pain for the Jewish people. Well, let's see if I could get back to something that I want to look at. Let's just pick this little part up of the Shefa Hakavanot, see if we can make some sense of it and try to get a little better focus here. As he said, "V'chine kasher rotzim lachzor panim b'panim." Sorg shetachtem b'bechinas afolos hadarmita al zer anpen, kadei sheta'asach hanesirach v'tuchu lachzor imo apen ba'amba. That's the quote. Mavur kan inin nefolo. So now we're talking about this nafal, he falls into sleep. What is this nafal? Shab bisman choshech, because even when it's dark, and it says, it is to say that there's no light shining. All the hashgacha, all the relationship that we could have with Hashem is gone. The that is absolutely necessary. That before you can have the great light come, and the ultimate oneness of uniting all worlds, that can come. Sark Shayaktim has to come before that. Inyan Adarmita Kadei live nice as Kumas Hanuk. Why? Because you have to have the female has to be strong. It's a very interesting thing. Is that all we're seeing that the power of femininity of the female aspect is everything we're directed to. V'kol. So he says, let's go on. He says v'kol hamochim hamochim. The no kamochim shalos, so that also he says, and all of the mochim that are now given directly into her, me'ima atzma, from Ima herself. It's a possibility that I mistranslated the word Ima previously. I tried it that way. I tried it as Ema, which is fear. Maybe it meant Ima. We'll see. So then she's going to get direct juice from Ima, and now she's going to grow into 10 sphere. I think I'm in the wrong place. My mistake. Let me go back. So the fact that darkness has to come before light is good. Because darkness is what allows for the great light to come. And this is like Mayim Nukvin, and when you're really surrounded in pain and darkness, you cry out. And the Jew cries out to Hashem. So we understand that we call this time of this hiddenness of this light, this deep sleep. He says, actually, this is where redemption starts. Because the darkness itself is the beginning to Geula. So also in our time. That when darkness covers over the land, look what we're in a war here in Eretz Yisrael, so on and so forth. He says, Yesh lana l'das, we have to know shekol zema, shekol zera b'chu ha'chana l'geula chashlema. Shahara raba'ada chasmuchim mamish v'krovim ma'od l'geula chashlema v'chayichod agadol. The desire to actually to be redeemed has to come from us in the middle of this darkness. I see that it's preparing us for the geula that's coming. First you have erev, then you have boker, and then afterwards light. But no real light. The real light is only that which comes out of darkness. So we come over this. He says, what? And I'm sorry that it's bouncing around, but that's my table. So the time of Galus, Malchus is shrunk. She's just a dot. And she winds up leaving Atzilus altogether, which is that area of light, which is combined with the Ein Sof Baruch Hu, and she leaves it. She goes outside of it. She falls out. She's now in the outside world called Bria. But she has to be rebuilt again in order to be able to come back and be the Malchus of Atzilus. Because now Mochim go directly into her while she's in Bria. the Chassidim of that generation, they're called by the name of Chacherish, with the artisans, all these artisans were called, really the tzaddikim, they're called by those names. They continuously work to repair her all of the 70 years of this Galus Babel. Then you had the concept of Shivim Shon at the end of these 70 years, Yatz and Mordechai, and that's when Mordechai came out. Shehu Bechinas Ha'aras Yisod Abba, which we will learn about this. V'chutz Yisod Rachel, which goes beyond, because we understand the Yisod of the Nook is short, and the Yisod of the male is long, and that's what's going to be Vur Lukaman Barichos. This is going to be talked about later on in some Arichos. Let me see if there's something I can get. I think, let's try this. See if there's something here I can get. So he said, wait a minute, there's lots of zaz. There's a zah in every part. Which one we're talking about here? There's a zer anpin that takes place in the daytime parts. Now, this means that 24 hours of the day of the 6 days of the week. Then there's a zman that has a zah at his position in exactly which zah you're talking about, the time of the holidays, let's say. It seems like we're talking about here what? With the big zun. Shall hagalos o beis hamikdash during that period of time, the beis hamikdash and the galos. Shehem hazun haklaliyim beyosa. This incorporates all of the zunim, the most of it. The zun, the chatzilas mamish, and that zun which is panimi to everything else. But tzarach and then you have to get into that a little bit more. By beseder al rashash shekasav shakagavanda bepurim heim be'adam kadmon then vabia the hod. All of that has to be worked on. Let's see it once more time. The Purim really is during the Ak, which is the original veil, so to speak, over the Ein Sof. He says, but which part? And the Abiyah, which is the Yitzilas, Bria, Yitzir, and Asiya, which are 4 different aspects of Lomos that exist within the sphere of Hod. One more, let's do one more. The Fisha Az Ho Yizera Besoda Dormita. Vaha Kasiv, it reads like this: He lo Yanun v'lo Yishan Shema Yisrael. Hashem never, our Shomer never stops. But you just said that he did because he went to sleep. So he says this. When he says the Shomer Yisrael, is not talking about Zeranpin, who's now the sun, which is now sleeping or in darkness. This is really talking about Eric Anpin. The Ein Eric Anpin never sleeps. The goodness that comes from Eric Anpin never stops. RABBI, we have that over there. The Ein he doesn't have eyelids. Now this is all we're talking about, not a big human being. We're talking about a concept. The concept of an eyelid is a concept that the light can be shut off when you close your eyes. But that's the concept. So his la'olam pekuchos lahashgiach. So the einov la'olam pekuchos, his lights are always alert, always to be able to look out at us and see what's going. Kamo dogim, just like fish who have no eyelids. V'hu nikra shomer yisrael, and that is the one who guards us. The Hainu shomer as Zer Anpin, he guards Zer Anpin. Hanikra Yisrael, which is called Yisrael. Okay, that's what I could do for today or right now. This is Baruch Fleischman.